The Young and the Restless, spoilers full, the 22nd of May, 2026. Welcome back to our channel, folks. It is a wild and crazy day in the soap world, and we have got a massive breakdown of all the chaos currently exploding on our screens. Grab a huge cup of coffee and maybe a snack, because we are diving deep into the madness today, and there is a lot to unpack. So let us just jump right into it, because I am honestly still reeling from what they are doing with Victor and Nikki right now. And it is bringing exactly what every single fan who has been watching this show for more than one episode has been expecting. Nikki and Victor are reuniting. But it is not in the way we thought. And it is definitely not for the reasons we thought. Let's be real. We all knew they would find their way back to each other because the writers literally refused to let them stay apart for more than 5 minutes. But the circumstances this time are just so dark. A few episodes ago, Nikki actually grew a backbone. She stood up to Victor. She told him flat out that she completely objected to him kidnapping her friend. She was furious that he was holding someone hostage and using them to blackmail Jack and his family. And you know what Victor did? He did what Victor always does. He completely dismissed her. He did not take her constructive criticism well at all. He basically looked at his wife, the love of his life supposedly, and told her that she was free to pack her bags, leave the house, and only come back when she was ready to admit that he is always right about everything. Always right. Who actually believes this is going to end well? The absolute arrogance of this man is just staggering. So Nikki left. She stayed strong. She kept her distance from the monster she has married like, what, a dozen times now? But then the ultimate tragedy strikes. Nick is in an absolute crisis. And we are not just talking about a minor stumble. Nick crashed his car into a cliff in Vegas while completely high out of his mind on drugs that Matt Clark and Sienna set him up with. He is in the hospital, and the doctors are saying he might have permanent brain damage. Nikki is screaming in the hospital waiting room. She is completely broken. And who is standing right there, silent but calculating? Victor, because obviously only Victor has the power and the resources to handle this kind of catastrophe. So he pulls Nikki right back into his orbit. He uses their son's horrific tragedy to reel her back in. And Nikki has no choice. She is terrified for her boy. She needs Victor's strength right now. But it just makes me so mad. So mad. Because Victor is basically using Nick's near-death experience as a relationship tool. I mean, maybe I am being too harsh. Maybe he is genuinely just trying to save his son. Okay, that sounded dramatic, but you get what I mean. He is still a manipulator at his core. We can only hope that once Nick is out of the woods, Nikki will manage to escape Victor's toxic grip again. And maybe this time for good. But honestly, I am not holding my breath. And then we have to talk about the Winters family because things are getting incredibly messy over there too. Lily and Holden are currently on a plane heading to New York City. And they are on a desperate mission. They are taking Kane's bone marrow and stem cells to New York to try and cure their shared father, Malcolm. Malcolm has aplastic anemia, and he is literally dying. And Kane, of all people, was the only match. But let us just pause and talk about Kane for a second, because what Kane is doing is so disgusting. He is not just doing a nice thing to save his former father-in-law. No, Kane is using his literal body parts to blackmail Lily. He wants control of Chancellor Winters. He wants his power back. And he is holding Malcolm's life hostage to get it. It is just sick. But Lily has no choice. She loves her uncle, well, her biological dad, and she will do whatever it takes. So now she is stuck on this trip to New York with Holden. And, this trip is actually giving Lily and Holden some forced time to bond. They are stuck together. They are going to have to actually talk and figure out how to be siblings. Because Holden just found out Malcolm is his dad. He is reeling. And Lily has been dealing with this complicated family dynamic for years. Maybe Lily will finally sit Holden down and give him the real, unfiltered history of Malcolm's deeply complicated past in Genoa City. Because Malcolm is not a saint. The way he fathered Lily in the first place was a massive scandal with Neil and Drusilla. Holden needs to know what kind of family he has just married into, so to speak. But then again, maybe Holden will not even listen. Because let us be real, Holden is super distracted right now. He is completely infatuated with Claire Newman. He has been leaning on Claire, talking to her about his family drama, and Claire is playing the sweet, understanding confidant. So Holden might just put his headphones on, ignore his sister, and spend the entire flight texting Claire, which would be classic soap opera behavior. Ignore the actual family trauma right in front of you to focus on a new crush. I just hope Lily gets through to him because they need to be a united front against Cain right now. Cain is a snake. He has always been a snake. And he is going to bleed Chancellor Winters dry if they let him. And speaking of people making terrible decisions, we have to talk about Jack Abbott. Oh, Jack, what are you doing? So Jack has finally realized that being blindingly angry at Patty Williams is not working. Which, duh. Patty is not exactly operating on a logical wavelength. But let us rewind a second to remember why Jack is so furious. He was drugged. He was kidnapped, drugged, and basically forced into sleeping with Patty on a boat. It was a complete setup. And of course, Diane caught them or found out about it. And Diane completely lost her mind. She blasted Jack. She is talking about divorce. She even caught Jack in a compromising position with Nikki right after that, which just made everything a million times worse. Diane is done. She is packing it in, and Jack is panicking because he loves Diane. So his initial reaction was to just scream at Patty. He lashed out. He blamed her for ruining his marriage. But yelling at Patty is useless. It does nothing. It just makes her more obsessed. So now Jack is completely changing his approach. He has decided that anger is out and kindness is in. He thinks he can win Patty over with kindness. He thinks if he plays nice, he can manipulate her into exposing Victor, since Victor is the one pulling all the strings in the background to destroy Jack's life. But this is such a bad idea. This is such a bad idea. Does Jack not remember who Patty Williams is? Does he not remember that she literally poisoned Summer Newman years ago? Patty is dangerous. She is unstable. And she is deeply, deeply obsessed with Jack. If Jack starts acting sweet to her, if he starts showing her kindness and attention, Patty is not going to see it as a strategic move. She is going to see it as true love. She is going to think they are getting back together. Jack is playing with fire. He is playing with a literal bomb. And he is going to get burned. I get that he is desperate to save his marriage to Diane and he wants to take Victor down. But manipulating a mentally fragile woman who is already obsessed with you, that is a recipe for an absolute disaster. And meanwhile, Patty is running around town acting as a tour guide for Matt Clark, who is faking amnesia. So Patty is already tied up with another dangerous criminal. Jack has no idea how deep this goes. I just sit here watching these episodes and I want to scream at the screen. What are they thinking? Why does Jack always think he is the smartest guy in the room when he constantly falls into these traps? And Victor is just sitting back, watching it all happen, probably laughing into his scotch glass. Victor set the trap, Jack walked right into it, and now Jack is trying to dig his way out with a plastic spoon. It is just so messy. But honestly, that is why we watch, right? We love the mess. We love seeing how these characters completely ruin their own lives and then try to piece them back together. I am just really worried for Nick right now, and that hospital scene was genuinely heartbreaking. Seeing Nikki completely lose it, seeing Adam feeling so guilty because he could not save his brother in time, it is heavy stuff. And Victor using it to control his wife is just the icing on the toxic cake. Anyway, I am going to keep watching. I am going to keep pulling my hair out over Jack's terrible plans. And I am going to pray that Lily finds a way to save Malcolm without handing her entire family legacy over to Kane Ashby. Because nobody wants to see Kane sitting in the big chair again. Nobody. Let me know what you guys think about all this, because I am honestly exhausted just thinking about it.